Let me start with the official disclaimer. Until 6 weeks ago, I was a part of those people who had no clue about cyber, having been the chairman senior policy advisor. I also wanted to give a shout out to my former boss, General Lani Kass, former commander of the Air Force's Air Combat Command, and one of the intellectual fathers of what I say, those who do have a clue about cyberspace. So thank you both for being here, not for me, but just in general. And it's hard to pick up from the way Dan started it. Let me pick it from where he ended, because I totally agree with his first bullet. And let me start the way the Air Force defined cyber when it put it in its mission on December 7, 2006. So somebody had a clue. One of the fathers is sitting right here. And I was given the mission to define cyber for the United States Air Force. And the way I have defined it is cyber is an operational domain characterized by the electronic spectrum, by electronics and the infrastructure built to exploit the characteristics of the EMS. So all the things that Dan listed here, plus several, and I'll talk about them in a second, take place in and through the electromagnetic spectrum, okay? If you remember your high school physics and you consider the EMS, it is a physical domain on par with air, land, space, and sea. It has its own unique physical characteristics which allow you to do certain things. So as a domain, it is on par with the traditional domains in which both civil and military activities take place simultaneously. Private and government, national and international, just like in the air, just like in space, just like on the seas. In military terms, the laws of armed combat should apply in cyberspace like they apply in other domains. The intermingling that Dan talked about, which occurs in the other domains, where you're crossing line with other users of the domain, with civilian traffic, for example, in the air, have been subjects of rules and regulations for a long time. This domain is not new. The EMS is not a new domain, nor is it man-made. You could argue that this cyber infrastructure is something created by humans, but the domain itself is not man-made. We are yet to develop the rules of the road for this specific domain. And I would agree with Dan that the laws, the regulations lag behind the technology. Such issues that we solved in aerospace, land, and sea, of proportionality, of non-combatant immunity, all the issues of just war, we are just beginning to explore in this new domain. But here is the blinding flash of the obvious. If you lose control of this domain, you just lost the war. Air, space, and cyberspace are the centers of gravity of any modern nation. If you don't dominate air, space, and cyberspace, it doesn't really matter how big your army is, how many ships you have upon the sea. Frankly, it doesn't even matter how good your diplomats are. Your way of life comes to a scorching halt. Cyberspace is America's center of gravity. It is also, because of that, it's Achilles' heel. And our opponents know that. As the most technologically advanced nation, we are uniquely vulnerable in cyberspace. And here is what is unique about cyber. For the first time in the history of warfare, the damage that you can inflict is disproportionate to the level of investment. In the past, to match us in the air or to match us at sea or in space or on land, nation states had to make huge investments. Arguably, that's how we won the Cold War. We spent the Soviet Union into oblivion, into collapse. With the electron being, or the photon, whichever part of the electromagnetic spectrum you want to consider, being the ultimate precision-guided munition, you do not have to match us airplane for airplane and ship for ship to inflict damage that is totally disproportionate to the level of investment. I would argue that cyber and cyber tools or weapons are the ultimate bargain hunter's way of destroying the Western way of life. Most of the technologies that I'm talking about are dual use, like cell phones. Think about what caused the greatest casualties to the greatest nation on planet Earth. It wasn't some new weapon system. It was IED devices, okay, detonated with cell phones or garage door openers. We fought them, specifically the Air Force, through the electromagnetic spectrum. We jammed them. Of all the domains, of the 5 domains that I was talking about, cyber is the most complex because it is rife with criminal and terrorist activity and opportunity, because it has massive commercial value. I would argue more than air and space in terms of trillions of dollars transitioning cyberspace on a daily basis. And it is absolutely critical to military operations at all levels. When General Keyes and I flew airplanes when we were young, we were taught and John drills it into his students every day, the first battle of any war is going to be for control of the air and for freedom of action in and through the air. I would expand it to say that the first battle of any war is going to be for control of air, space, and cyberspace. And if you lose control of those, if you don't have freedom of action and freedom to maneuver in and through those domains, you cannot win, basically. I spoke yesterday at a conference, the title of which was Victory Through the Electromagnetic Spectrum. And I concluded the way I'm going to conclude today. If you don't control the electromagnetic spectrum across it, from DC to daylight, to radio wave, microwaves, gamma rays, and rays that we have never even considered, you cannot win. So let me end here and answer any and all questions you might have at the conclusion of the panel.
Lani, thank you very much.